Welcome to the Canadian Business Quarterly podcast, where we speak with Canada's most influential industry leaders on the business and economic development issues taking place across the country. You can stay up to date with all of our content, including our publications, newsletters, and podcasts by visiting www.thecbq.ca and clicking on subscribe.
Andrew Coates is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at ProAll International Manufacturing. Before being named Vice President in March of 2020, Andrew held roles with ProAll as a National Sales Manager and spent 2 years as the General Manager of ProAll USA, living in Fort Worth, Texas. Driven by a passion for business and people, Andrew takes pride in the success of the organization and people he works with. He holds a BA from the University of Calgary and an MBA from Royal Roads University. Andrew, thanks for speaking with us today.
Thanks a lot for having me on.
So, what is the service that ProAll International Manufacturing provides?
So we are a manufacturer of volumetric concrete mixers, which are essentially concrete mixers that batch concrete right on site. So all the materials are stored separately: stone, sand, water, and cement powder, and then mixed right on site, as opposed to the traditional drum mixers, which bring the concrete already blended.
So who would be your clients and who would use your services?
It's that's a fairly diverse group. Anywhere that concrete is being used, it could be anything from pool builders to skyscrapers to backyard projects for do-it-yourself type homeowners. The niche for us is really small pours. It tends to be less, skyscraper type activity and more smaller type jobs.
The company's been around for 50 years now. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey through that time?
Yeah, sure. So, been around for 50 years, merged with our, we were Reimer Alliance, and then merged with our steel manufacturer, who was Project Industries, back in 2013, and became ProAll. So Pro from Project and All from Reimer Alliance, and became ProAll. So history of 50 years, but have been ProAll for about 8 years now. And currently we're about 130 employees, which is a pretty big uptick. Last year at this time, we were about 85 employees. So have seen quite a bit of growth in the last year or so. And we manufacture everything here in Olds. So right from raw steel to finished product, that all happens at our facility here on a 10-acre property here in Olds, Alberta.
What's your position in the market and what makes you, different to other providers of this service in the category?
Yeah, in the North American market, there's less than a fraction of a percentage of concrete is poured with a volumetric mixer. That number is obviously growing, but over in the UK, about 10% of all concrete is poured with this type of equipment. So that's kind of our space is growing. There's a lot of room for growth and potential for growth in the North American market. It's really the acceptance of the technology and it being different than the drum mixers that's taken some time. And we, like I said, we've been around for 50 years, but have only seen some real explosive growth here recently. Our clients are essentially, we're an international company. We do sell all over the world, but the bulk of our sales come from, UK, where it's a big market there, and then North America, so Canada and the US.
Were there was a couple of interesting facts and figures there. Were there any other sort of numbers or things along those lines that sort of makes you stand out a little bit?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that creates a differentiation for ProAll over, say, competitors is we really have introduced technology into our mixers, and that's allowed for a lot more consistency without getting too technical on the concrete side. Concrete's a lot more technical than people realize, and there's chemicals that are added, and with technology being added, that means that we can eliminate operator error and we can have more consistent mixes and know what we're pouring, and that's been really helped us stand apart from some of our competitors who are still using hydraulic levers and manual operations to run the mixers, and that really sets us apart, or sets our product apart from others.
And for people like myself that aren't in the industry, are there industry issues taking place that generally people like myself would be unaware of?
Yeah, there's a lot of growth in parts of the industry like something that we would all know, like the 5G network that's being laid everywhere, in the world, but especially here in North America. All that 5G network cable that has to be laid is basically micro trenched, so cut out. They lay the cable and then they put a fast setting concrete on top of it that's easily to break out, unshrinkable fill, it's called. So it's always been done for utility lines, but growing this 5K or 5G network is something that's happening very quickly, and a lot of dollars are being spent on it. And we have a few customers in the US who have contracts with Google to do this work, and they've been purchasing our equipment for that use. So that's a game changer. I mean, obviously 5G networks aren't something that we were talking about 10 years ago. And so that's been a big boost for ProAll and for the volumetric industry in general.
And so before we finish up today, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is there's obviously pros and cons and challenges to doing business in a small town in Alberta, but it's something that here at ProAll we take a lot of pride in, the fact that we can build a product that is used everywhere from Australia to the Philippines to Africa, and then all across Canada. So being a small town company here in Olds with a population of about 10,000, being able to have that reach is a pretty neat thing, and something that I think we all here at ProAll are pretty proud of.
Excellent. Well, Andrew, thanks very much for your time today.
Appreciate it, Jesse. Thanks.
This has been a production of the Canadian Business Quarterly, a division of Romulus Rising Proprietary Limited. All rights reserved. You can stay up to date with the Canadian Business Quarterly, including our publications, newsletters, and podcasts by visiting www.thecbq.ca and clicking on subscribe.